This week's parsha begins with a stirring speech, in which God reminds Moses of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and promises to redeem the Israelites, and deliver them to the promised land. HaShem then asks Moses to go, and share the good news with the Israelites, and Moses, inspired, does just that. How do the people respond? With what is arguably the biggest emotional letdown in human history. Moses spoke thus to the children of Israel, the Torah tells us, but they did not hearken to Moses, because of their shortness of breath, and because of their hard labor. Hard labor, we get. These are slaves, and the business of carrying bricks is backbreaking and soul-crushing, and it's completely possible to imagine a nation of oppressed people, just too physically exhausted to behold the divine promise. But what does shortness of breath mean? The Rashar, the great 19th century German Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, delivered a beautiful and terrifying explanation. The inhuman suffering of their present moment weighed them down mightily, he wrote, and they were preoccupied exclusively with meeting its demands and seeking minor comforts. And so, they had no excessive spirit, no leisure to contemplate an issue, like redemption, that belongs squarely in the future. So that when Moses came to speak to them, they had no patience to listen to him quietly. So pressed were they by the demands of the hour, and so burdened were they by their work. This isn't just an affliction particular to the Israelites in Egypt. This shortness of breath is a daily challenge for each of us. This is why the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, the 18th century Italian Kabbalist, warns us in his masterful book, Mezilat Yesharim, that for while a man is occupied in his worldly affairs, his thoughts are bound by the chains of the burden that weighs on them, and it is impossible for him to give thought to his deeds. Like us, then, the Israelites refused to listen, because they had too much on their minds. They were preoccupied with work, with troubles, with the 1,001 demands daily life puts on each and every human being, regardless of their particular circumstances. They chose to focus on the mundane, rather than on the miraculous, though the miraculous, a very real, and very spectacular liberation, was at hand. Moses' response to this dispiriting reply isn't recorded, and some rabbis argued that Moses, being humble, blamed himself for the debacle, and that shortness of breath meant his own impatience with his failure as a stuttering speaker. But this week's parsha leaves us all with a major challenge. The challenge of doing whatever we can to cure our own shortness of breath, and open our own minds and hearts to the miracles that surround us each and every day.